can forget the infamous hallway scene from Rogue One's final moments? After 33 years, Darth Vader once again wields his lightsaber and lays waste to the enemies of the Empire.
We would be honored if you would join us.
And even though the film is less than 4 years old, there have already been a few imitations and references to this in other Star Wars titles. But what was it about this scene that made it so powerful? Is simply replicating the scene with another character able to cash in on some of that magic, or does it actually cheapen the source that they're trying to pay homage to? These are all questions that popped into my mind, and so I thought it would be really interesting to break down these scenes and compare Vader's infamous hallway scene with its imitators. By the way, spoilers for Jedi Fallen Order and Clone Wars Season 7.
Before we get started, I did want to take a minute to thank Raycon for graciously offering to sponsor this episode. They make these super awesome wireless earbuds, which are really just compact and comfortable. I love that I can almost forget that they're there. It's just like the music and audiobooks are being put straight into my head, like through the force or something like that. I don't know. It's just awesome. I love that I can leave my phone charging, I can walk around, and they are really affordable at half the price of other premium wireless earbuds, and these, which are the Everyday E25, are absolutely the same quality of sound, and I love the quality is something that's really important to me, not just sound quality, which is toppest of notches, but also how far can I go from my phone while it is charging on my desk? That's something that is really important to me. Can I go walk around my whole house while leaving my phone and forgetting that I don't have it in my pocket? And that's something that is really cool, really important to me. I love that. And even though they are already really affordable, like I said, half the price of other premium wireless earbuds, but we have managed to secure 15% off for the entire Lore Star community. All you have to do is click the link in the description or go to buyraycon.com/LoreStar. It is a really great way to help out the channel. If you are looking for a pair of wireless earbuds, clicking our link helps ensure that we continue to give you premium Star Wars content, and then you can listen to that premium Star Wars content on premium wireless earbuds with toppest of notches sound quality. Thanks again to Raycon for sponsoring this video. Now, onto the topic. So for those who have only seen the feature films, the infamous hallway scene has already been copied twice. The first was last year in Jedi Fallen Order in a scene where our character watches from behind a window as his master Jaro Tapal fights through a battalion of clones to make his way, you guessed it, through a hallway.
Get ready.
Padawan, we have to leave now.
This scene is really tense as we have been surviving the onslaught of the clones by the skin of our teeth, and here is our Jedi Master before us ripping through the enemy. Unlike the scene that this movement was based off of, this scene is meant to fill us with hope rather than dread. Quite ironic, since the epic track that accompanies Darth Vader's massacre is actually entitled Hope. But I digress. We will come back to break down this scene later, but right now let's move on to the next hallway scene, which was released earlier this year. Maul's hallway scene is just epic. Although it doesn't quite reach the same level of terror evoked by Vader, this scene was incredibly satisfying to watch and was totally unexpected. Much like Jaro Tapal's hallway scene, this one also takes place on a Venator during Order 66.
Execute Order 66.
However, unlike Jaro Tapal's, there is nothing hopeful about this march.
Hope.
Maul's rampage is ruthless and brutal as he single-handedly breaks the record for highest number of non-lightsaber-related dismemberments of any character in the Star Wars mythos. Now, before I rank these and point out why they are awesome, or how they fail to be awesome, I think it's crucial that we first analyze the inspiration to figure out why this scene made us feel love and fear in a way that few of us thought possible. To start, Rogue One was the first, and remains the only, Star Wars feature film where none of the main characters ever encounter a lightsaber. This was a difficult task, as the lightsaber has become an iconic symbol for the Star Wars franchise, much as the lightsaber in-universe was a symbol for the Jedi. However, this oversaturation came with a problem, as the unending deluge of lightsaber-wielding protagonists resulted in the protagonist's equivalent of Syndrome's philosophy from The Incredibles.
And when everyone's super, no one will be.
It was not an accident that the only lightsabers we've seen up until this point in the film are these. Not only are they stone representations of lightsabers, but they are broken, shattered, weathered, and crumbling away in the forgotten sands surrounding the Holy City. Take a minute to think about the visual storytelling going on here on Jedha, because there is a lot of symbolism here. These stone Jedi were clearly once statues, and by the looks of them, they must have towered over the Holy City. The people of Jedha once sat under and looked up to the watch of the Jedi Order and the will of the Force, but now, the material and technological might of the Empire is the only thing above the city of Jedha. The statues of the Jedi have literally fallen, and above them, above the city of Jedha, taking their place, is a Star Destroyer, a symbol of the Empire's might. So I'm sure you're wondering what all this has to do with the hallway scene. Well, it's all about putting the audience in the mindset of the characters on screen. The Jedi have fallen, broken, wasting away in the dust. Lightsabers once stood between the people of the Republic and the evils that threatened them, but now there is nothing to stand between the people and those who had oppressed them. If the prequels were there to show us the Jedi in the height of their power and all their glory, and the original trilogy is all about their return, then Rogue One is the story of the galaxy in the Jedi's absence. There is no hope for the Jedi's return. There is only the people. And without the Jedi, the people may be victorious, but there's a cost. There is a sacrifice to be made, and everyone must die. See, over the past 43 years, or 39 by the time Rogue One came out, we have been conditioned to associate the lightsaber with victory. It is the weapon that allows our heroes to stand up against a much more established villain and allows the protagonist to turn the tide. But our heroes have no lightsabers in Rogue One, and I remember being in the theater watching the movie and wondering how this story would have changed if there was even a single Jedi on the ground. Tasks like flipping the Master Switch are incredibly tense moments, and having to walk directly through incoming blaster fire results in many people losing their lives to achieve this goal. However, one can only imagine what a simple task this would have been if someone was holding a weapon that could literally deflect blaster fire. For me, it was moments like this that urged me to appreciate the lightsaber and the Jedi for the overpowered assets that they are. By taking the lightsaber away, they actually served to make it more special in the process, adding a retroactive appreciation for the Jedi weapon when we see it in other stories. However, Rogue One didn't stop there, and I'm sure that you see where I'm going with this. After being on the receiving end of the emotional equivalent of a battering ram, watching death after death as plot armor is taken away after each character has served their purpose, we get into a tense hallway as the rebels are scrambling to escape. Then the scrambling stops, the lights dim, and the soldiers turn and quietly look down the hallway. This is the conclusion to part 1 of why the hallway scene was so awesome. The build-up. The change of tone is palpable as the rebels stop scurrying like rats in a tunnel and turn to face their impending demise. Also notice that the camera focuses more on their reaction to Vader than on Vader himself. Really, you could look at this whole movie as building up to this one scene, setting up the idea of a world where the good guys don't have lightsabers. It's one of the reasons that this scene isn't as gripping if you just go on YouTube and watch the hallway scene by itself. This scene is contextualized by everything that happens in a world without Jedi. And now, Vader is here. The soldiers are trapped, and there is no good guy with a lightsaber to stand between them and the bad guy with a lightsaber. The title track that plays here is called Hope. But if you look at the faces on these soldiers, we all know that there is no scene in all of Star Wars that exemplifies the idea of hopelessness like this moment does. Everything from the guard begging to not be left behind to the merciless slaughter of men who can't even land a single shot. This scene is all about the hopelessness of the galaxy without Jedi.
Hope.
Why are you smiling, Leia? Seriously, everyone you knew just died, either by Death Star or Vader's hand, and you are smiling right now?
Like, I get that they have the Death Star plans or something, but Leia's smiling. It's weird and jarring. We've just witnessed more death than we've seen in, like, all of Star Wars combined, and Leia smiles. By the way, look at Solo if you want an idea of what this looks like by someone who completely misunderstands what's going on here. What are you doing, Maul? Seriously, I love Maul, I love Sam Witwer, but why are you threatening her through a hologram? Why? This movie did not need a lightsaber, and putting one in this scene literally does the opposite of what Rogue One did. Alright, sorry about that. Anyway, the next hallway scene to make an appearance is the scene from Jedi Fallen Order. And honestly, it's just the worst. I'm sorry, I love this game, and I'm a huge advocate of Respawn, but this is just no. Respawn. I trusted you.
Trust me.
This scene was like someone who watched the hallway scene from Rogue One and is like, wow, that was cool. A lot of people seem to like that. What if we just did it? What if we just did that? Like, they didn't try to figure out why it was cool or what made it compelling. They were just like, yeah, remember that? Let's do that. The same thing, but with a good guy instead of a bad guy. See, the difference between a scene that is cool and a scene that is truly epic is how well the storytellers put you in the right mindset before you experience that scene. You can't just do a bunch of cool stuff in a scene and expect people to be talking about it for months or making full-blown YouTube videos on it for nearly 4 years later. No, you need to earn that with the proper setup. Rogue One is so epic because it puts you in the shoes of someone who has no lightsaber and puts a lightsaber across from you and says, good luck. You have been conditioned throughout the film of Rogue One to identify with the people who aren't holding lightsabers. So, in this scene, you are probably imagining yourself holding the blaster with this walking towards you. But by this point in Fallen Order, you have literally spent hours with a lightsaber in your hand fighting hundreds of guys who look just like this. This moment isn't special because it's practically no different from any other part of the game, except you're in a hallway now. And it kind of reminds you of some time that Darth Vader did something similar in a hallway 3 years ago. I'm not gonna lie, when I first played Fallen Order, I about lost my cool when this scene happened. I was totally drawn into the whole Jedi hallway scene idea. But especially after going back to watch Rogue One recently, I realized how much this scene from Fallen Order cheapened Vader's moment in Rogue One. This was partially special because it showed us how strong Vader was, and it added to his intimidation in A New Hope because we saw what he literally just did literally hours before A New Hope starts. Now, with that pessimistic look at Fallen Order, I'm sure you're all expecting me to trash Maul's hallway scene, right?
That's right, yeah.
Right? Right?
It's a trap!
Maul's hallway scene is awesome. I love this scene. Is it as amazing as Vader's hallway scene? No, not by a long shot. But this scene has a reason to exist in its own right, and the thesis behind it is a direct contrast to Vader's scene. See, these scenes are like direct adaptations of each other, and yet Maul's scene is also somehow the exact opposite of Vader's scene. Maul is a character who we have only ever seen as a proficient lightsaber combatant. Remember how I mentioned Solo? Seriously, even in a movie where he has no business holding a lightsaber, they still think that he has to appear... Okay. Alright, sorry. Anyway. Ray Park did the original stunt work for Maul, and he has gone on to do the body of Maul in Solo and motion cap for Maul in the final season of the Clone Wars. This guy is a legend with the bow staff and was cast exclusively for his combat skills. Maul's casting was literally synonymous with his lightsaber. It is like a crucial part to who he is. And this scene, 21 years after his debut, is the first time we've seen Maul go at it, and I mean really go at it, without a lightsaber. If Rogue One showed us the power of a lightsaber in a world without lightsabers, this scene shows us the power of the Force. Also, look at the posture of these two characters. Comparing these scenes really shows us a stark contrast between Vader and Maul. When Vader marches through, he stands tall, never really bothering to exert himself or go into a rage.
This is effortless to him, as if the death and destruction has just become second nature to who Vader is. This Vader is more powerful than anyone, but plagued by pain and suffering, and you can see that in his posture. Especially if you watch this scene after having watched Twilight of the Apprentice from Rebels, which I really do believe contextualizes this pain-plagued Vader that we see in Rogue One. Now, look at Maul. Maul is bending his legs, he's exerting himself, his movements are just filled with rage and hatred for everyone and everything. This is very different from Vader's effortless stride, as Maul's march is much more animalistic, more primal, and almost even more emotionally invested in the death and destruction that he's causing. The one thing that Maul's scene can't give us is the terror evoked by Vader. Vader's rampage relies heavily on the shots of the reactions of the men he's about to kill, giving us a glimpse at the absolute terror that he evokes. Unfortunately, Maul's fighting against clones who are wearing helmets, so we don't really get to see that. This scene focuses much more on the power of the Force and the strength of Maul. But I do still kind of wish that they had shown us some clones without their helmets. We've really grown attached to the faces of these clones, especially being represented in the Clone Wars, having been brought to tears more than once through this show, and I really wish that we could see the horror of Maul reflected in their eyes. Even still, this scene is amazing. Not only that, but this whole scene serves as a prelude to the era to come, for both Maul and Ahsoka. Neither are Jedi or Sith anymore, but both will become influential players during the Imperial era. This scene shows us that even without a lightsaber, even without the title, even without everything we've come to associate with Jedi and Sith, these characters cannot be robbed of what they truly are. They still have power, they still have influence, and are unstoppable in their own way.
I won't leave you. Not this time.
But anyway, those are just my thoughts. Which hallway scene was your favorite, and what do you think it was that scene was trying to tell us? Let me know what you think down in the comments below, because as always, I want to know what you, my friends, have to say about our favorite galaxy far, far away. Don't forget to use those force powers of yours to hit like and subscribe, or if you learned absolutely nothing new, feel free to leave a thumbs down, absolutely guilt-free, because that tells me I'm not doing my job. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, may the lore be with you, now and forever.